Welcome to this paper presentation at EMMSAD 2020. The paper is on supporting early phases of digital twin development with enterprise modeling and capability management. It's a pleasure for me to present this joint work with Janis Stirna from Stockholm University. My name is Sandkuhl from Rostock University in Germany. Just a short overview. We will start with the motivation, discuss the research method. The core of the paper are case studies from manufacturing industries, but we only have time to look at one case study, producer of pumps. We derive requirements to digital twin development and discuss the use of enterprise modeling and capability-driven design as support for digital twin development. Well, the basic motivation comes from three very interrelated research fields. All these three fields are quite popular in research, but there's a lack of integration. The three fields are Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is very much concerned with connecting physical devices like machinery used in factories for assembly, for example, digital components like ERP systems or manufacturing execution systems, and human actors along the production process. And this connection is done for continuous monitoring, control, and integration. Digital twins have been a component which is very often used in Industry 4.0, and digital twins are a dynamic virtual representation of a physical object or a physical system across its life cycle, for example, of an assembly line or production facility in manufacturing. Digital twins have been very much in focus of Industry 4.0 research, but they can also contribute to digital transformation, but there's hardly any research about this connection. Digital transformation in general is about adopting digital technologies in the digitalization of organizations, which very often changes business models and operations of the organizations. We think that changing business models and operations can be supported by digital twins, and that digital twins should actually reflect requirements from business models and organizational changes. So our objective is to investigate how these digital twin solutions are integrated into organizational structures and business models of manufacturing enterprises, and what motivates the development of digital twins when digital transformation is started in organizations. The focus of this paper is to analyze suitability of enterprise modeling and capability management for supporting this understanding of the business model and the organizational context of digital twins, and by doing this, supporting development and management of digital twins. From a research method perspective, the paper presentation is part of a bigger research program which is conducted as design science research. The research question is, in the context of digital transformation, how are digital twin initiatives emerging, and what are the driving forces for starting implementation projects? Our way to investigate this topic is a combination of descriptive case studies and literature studies. So we look into industrial cases of digital transformation and study how the digital twin developments in these industrial cases actually emerged. So what was the reason to start digital twin developments? Can we see connections to business models, to organizational structures, and to methodology use? Based on these impressions from case studies, we also performed a literature analysis, and both case studies and literature analysis lead to requirements for digital twin development. With these requirements defined, we investigate the suitability of capability-driven design and development. So from a research method perspective, I think it's fair to say that we have the hypothesis that capability-driven design and development would be a suitable way to support digital twin development. So now these case studies. The case studies we used to investigate how digital twin projects actually emerge and are kicked off. The first case study is from Germany, a medium-sized manufacturer of pumps and pumping technologies. So all kinds of pumps for swimming pools, sewage, ships, these kinds of pumps. They explore new business models by applying digital technologies, and very often they integrate sensors into pumps, and these sensors are meant to transmit information to the back office. So they basically convert the pump into an Internet of Things device. The data collection for the case study happened in 2 workshops, and there were also interviews preparing these 2 workshops. focus in this presentation is on the second workshop, and the second workshop was focusing on identifying digital transformation options. So real options, how could they do digital transformation in the company and how could they implement it? So in the second workshops, 9 stakeholders from the company, including the research and development manager, this is the CEO, the sales manager, some engineers, logistics, and distribution, they were participating in the workshop. 2 of the findings in the workshop, so the most important ones, were that the new business model options, which were discussed in detail, actually were both connected to digital twin development. The first was to construct smart pumps. So smart pumps, these are pumps which are installed, for example, in a ship, and the owner of the ship wants to have control of the pump, and so this requires to integrate sensors into the pumps, but the information captured by the sensors is not directly sent to the manufacturer of the pumps, but to the user of the pump, so within the ship. This is what, from a ship perspective, contributes to the digital twin of a ship, so where the pump is part of the digital twin of a ship. The second is pumping as a service. Here, the company aims to sell not the pump as a physical device, but the functionality of the pump. So they get paid basically by pumping volume. In order to make this a good business, they need to have full control about the pump to do maintenance, and they need a digital twin of this pump where the information is delivered to the manufacturer. So they need this in order to set up suitable services and service levels. So 2 kinds of digital twins, but for different contexts. From these 2 cases, we derived case study requirements, and both cases clearly show that the digital twins they imagine, they have to support the goals and business models of the company. So smart pumps, pumping as a service, or the pumps installed in a ship, these were business goals. The digital twins then are part of the operations in an enterprise. So the overall processes, for example, for running smart pumps or pumping as a service, have to be designed, and the digital twin has to fit in. What aspect of the reality is reflected in the digital twin and what features and parameters have to be displayed in these digital twins is based on this organizational integration and what the business model is required. From a development perspective, the digital twin developments and the platform developments where the digital twins should be integrated, they have to be better integrated. Meaning the platform of a ship, for example, and the digital twin of a pump for this ship, there has to be a common agreement how to do this. And both business model and organizational processes are subject to continuous improvement, and digital twins should have the possibility to reflect this continuous improvement process. In the next step, we analyzed also the requirements for digital twin design published in the literature. The result were 3 big groups of requirements. One group for modeling and model management, then the second group adaptation and adjustment, and then the continuous lifecycle management, which aims at visualizing runtime data in design models in order to support continuous lifecycle management. There's much more about these requirements, which is visible in the paper. With the requirements from the literature and the case studies, we now can go back to our hypothesis that the capability-driven design and development is suitable to support these early phases of digital twin development. In this table, we see on the left-hand side the requirements from the use cases, these 6 requirements, and in the other columns, the method components from the capability-driven design and development methodology. Enterprise modeling would basically be aiming at capturing business goals, and these business goals then can help to design capabilities, so what an enterprise has to use and to provide in order to support the business goal, which would be capability designs to digital twins. These digital twins would have to be integrated into different contexts. For example, these contexts of integrating the digital twin on the customer side or for the own factory, which requires context information. A context modeling component would support these. While doing this kind of design, the reuse of designs would be quite useful in order to have reusable components. And then, of course, during runtime, the runtime delivery adjustments when changes in the context happen. In the table, we have the different support information about how the method components support the case study requirements. Without going into detail for each and every cell of this table, the conclusion is that basically our hypothesis is supported, that CDD can be used to support all these case study requirements. Which leads us to a cycle of capability-driven management of digital twins, where the digital twin design is depicted in the middle. So the digital twin has to offer capabilities which are reflecting what the business model and the organizational integration of a certain company needs to have. For example, in our case 1, where the smart pumps were one part, one capability would be this integration into the digital twin of a ship. This capability and digital twin design is based on the goals and the business models which are captured in enterprise modeling, and this enterprise modeling part continuously develops the business model to change requirements from the environment and from the customers, and these are then to be translated into capabilities and into the digital twin design. When the digital twin design is done and the digital twin is delivered, the delivery and operation in the environment where the digital twin is used will again result in adjustment needs, which can change the design of the capability and even the business model. In order to investigate the suitability of the CDD approach a bit further, we used the components of the CDD methodology and mainly the tool for modeling capabilities and capability designs in order to model for the first use case the pumping as a service part and the predictive maintenance part. Starting points would be the goals, which could be derived from the business models. These goals would lead to key performance indicators, which would have to be supervised. Goals and key performance indicators can be translated into capabilities. So the company would have to offer the capability to have a product as a service view, so pump as a service in this case. And they would also need capabilities like real-time monitoring of a physical product or operating the product without downtime. These capabilities then have to be supervised and monitored during runtime, which requires certain context variables like pumping volume, energy consumption, and product status. And these context information can be aggregated into context sets. This is the context set for pump as a service, and this is the context set for predictive maintenance. Using this context information, then the actual measurable properties, which, for example, by integrating them as sensors into pumps, can be used in order to capture the required information. So these are basically the sensors to be integrated into the pump. With this kind of model, the generation of a dashboard would be possible, which basically includes this information. Of course, then these sensors have to be connected to real-world implementations. But this was is part of the capability-driven design and development approach. So even here we see a confirmation that the suitability of the approach is given. So to summarize, we looked into 2 industrial cases. The observation in both cases is that the business model options are motivating and driving force for digital twin implementation. We have digital twins as part of the operational context and a way of integrating products and services in the organization. And our conjecture that digital twins have to be part of organizational structures and business models is supported. We also investigated enterprise modeling and in particular capability-driven design and development. And we see that they have a potential of contributing to these requirements, where more concretely we proposed this integrated life cycle of the 3 circles, and we showed a feasibility demonstration by using the CDD tools. In future work, 3 different lines of work are possible. The first is to investigate to what extent already existing digital twin implementations are used for new services or products. The second line of work is to establish a development environment. Basically, we need to integrate the CDD environment with a bit additional support for enterprise modeling and digital twin development, for example, using the ADOXX tools. And specific challenges and capabilities for supporting supply chain management and resilience in supply chain management should also be investigated as part of the future work. Thank you for your time.